Hi guys. So last week I did a video on the official Strongman Games announcing their events and their weight categories for this year's competition, and there was a lot of interest, loads of questions. So I have been joined by Lynn Morehouse, who is one of the organisers of the official Strongman Games. Lynn, it's fantastic to have you on. How's things?
Things are great. I'm honored to be on the show. I've looked up to you as an athlete for many years, and I'm excited.
Oh, brilliant. Well, it's great to have you on. And I think, you know, we've had so many questions about the official Strongman Games. And from my perspective, like, I think the official Strongman in general and the qualifying route that you guys have to give anyone an opportunity to compete at a high level. Let's say, I know there's the opportunity to go on to compete at Giants Live for the heavyweight winners. Is that true? It's still qualify?
Yeah, the podium finishers for the men's open.
And obviously, Giants Live is the qualifying tour to World's Strongest Man. So this is the route for absolutely anyone out there that thinks they're strong enough. You know, they could be watching Strongman on TV. This is the way. They go sign up at Official Strongman. They go through the qualifying route. So I think we should probably start there, because the amount of people that have been asking me, how do you qualify? Yeah. Please explain to us.
Honestly, that was the problem that needed an answer for many years, was how are these people getting to World's Strongest Man? Because you'd always meet people who were incredibly strong and were like, if I could only get there. So this is now an official path. You know, it's very clear that Giants Live is the qualifying tour, but how do you get to Giants Live? And so working with Aaron Mullen, who's in charge of Giants Live for North America, that was my introduction into Giants Live, and then, of course, Colin and Darren. So what we wanted to do was really make a very streamlined path that was inclusive. Anyone can go and do the online qualifier. And we also have some regional contests like Europe's Strongest, and we'll have some North America, Australia, South Africa, all of that. These are all methods to get to a contest, and then the podium finishers qualify for a Giants Live. And we've seen that path work, where some relatively unknown names like Trey Mitchell, Kevin Ferris have come through this pathway and are now in the World Strongman circuit, if you will. So it's cool to be able to see it work.
It is cool. And those guys that you mentioned have gone on to do absolutely brilliantly. Luke Richardson as well. He kind of champion last year, went on to, well, I mean, he's already doing amazing things. But the one other great thing about the official Strongman Games is it focuses on everyone, not just the super heavyweight men. As obviously the super heavyweight men, I guess that's what people see. When you think of World's Strongest Man, you think of the biggest. I'm talking about the just general public, you know, the people that see World's Strongest Man on TV. They don't know that there's this whole host of incredible athletes, the female athletes, the lighter weight categories, and you're introducing new categories all the time. This year you've got two new categories competing?
Technically only one additional full-on division. We do have a test division out there. So I'll kind of go through the other divisions outside of the men's heavyweight. We've got access and the rights to the World's Strongest Woman title, for example. And so we've got the open women, World's Strongest Women, you know, undisputed. That's the strongest women in the world. And then we've got some weight divisions for that. Under 82 kilograms, so about 180 pounds, you know, American units, freedom units. And then we had 64 kilograms, so 140 pounds. Pretty big jump, about 40 pounds there.
That's a huge jump for those girls in the middle of that. That's tough.
And over the past, you know, few years, I've heard feedback, and, you know, athletes that are very competitive at 64, you know, they don't want to cut down anymore, but 82, you know, ego maybe kicks in. You don't want to go from being the best to, you know, having a couple of years of growing pains. So what we've done this year is we've introduced a 73 kilogram class, and it's right there in the middle, that 160. I actually think it's going to be one of the most widely, attended divisions.
I think it'll be a fantastic division. I train obviously a number of girls, and I know a few that will be relishing the opportunity to compete in that class rather than having to either cut right down or shoot right up. It's going to be a competitive class.
And that actually causes it to sort of align with what we have for the men's divisions. So on the men's side, we've got the 105 kilogram, 231s for me, as well as the 90 and 80 kilogram. And so that 3 different weight classes for men, 3 different weight classes for women. And then what I personally am excited about, because I am over 40, so the master side, we've got the men's masters. This is the boyhood dream as a promoter, because these are the people I've been seeing my whole life. And, to be able to have a competition that you're involved with and see legends, Big Z, Terry Hollins, Mark Felix, Nick Best, all these names and more names every single year. It's wonderful. So that, of course, means a lot to me. And then we also have women's masters. So the additional division that we've added that I haven't mentioned yet is really just a test, which is a 50 plus division. This year, it's going to be just for fun. And that's for a few different reasons. One, Mark Felix and Nick Best they're in their prime. They're going to compete in masters. They're going to go head to head against, the best in the world. And they are the strongest over 50, in my opinion.
Without question. Yeah. I mentioned that on the video last week. I would have been surprised if I saw those two in the over 50s.
And I reached out, actually, I think Nick inquired first, and then he wanted to do both. I was talking about it with him, but people have been asking, as the contest has grown, people want more and more the opportunity for them to be able to compete. Everyone wants, say, a lightweight masters, and by numbers, lightweight masters may make a little more sense. But my argument has been lightweight masters generally still have an opportunity. They can still go into the weight class divisions. I've had the pleasure of meeting over the past few years several strongmen who have reached that 50-year marker. And honestly, if you're a heavyweight who's over 50, it's kind of the end of the road. And that's a real shame. These are very strong individuals, people that within the community you respect, you want them to be there, and they want to be there. And so we're going to try it out. We're going to go and see.
I think it really shows the growth of the sport at the grassroots level. Because obviously we've had the big heavy guys that, and let's be honest, I mean, if we go back a few years, beyond 40, people were forgotten about, unless they were freaks like a Mark Felix or a Nick Best, who were still world class at that kind of age. Or Ode Haugen. But there's not, there's plenty of people that love strongman that aren't, competing on the international stage against the 20 to 30-year-olds, that are in their prime. It's a very rare individual that can do that. But there's plenty of guys and ladies that still love to test themselves, love to push themselves. And it's, you wouldn't have, you go back to when I started Strongman, you could not have filled out any of these classes. It was, it was such a niche sport, whereas now the popularity is growing all the time. I mean, I'm going to put it to you because a question I got asked, would you ever consider a junior class?
Like a teen division, or is
like an under 23, I think, or something like. I think there is teen contests that go on. I mean, not teen, but juniors in terms of power sports. They tend to class as under 23. I mean, we've got some freaky 19, 20, 21-year-olds out there, but there's a number of younger athletes that are getting into it that maybe that would be a good class to look at before, trying to push on to the, the real freaks.
I'll be honest. I don't think the 23-year-olds need a separate division. They are so incredibly competitive. I remember just on the local scene promoting North Carolina's Strongest Man, one gentleman who was so impressive, and he was only like 18 at the time. And I found out he had been competing since he was 13. And so that seemed unheard of. Like, I was in my 30s before I even realized that weight class strongman was a thing. But so when I think about why I would do a separate division for juniors or teens or any of that, it would be because they couldn't do the other weights or weren't competitive.
Sure.
And I'll be honest, from what I've been seeing, these 21-year-olds, I mean, shoot, we've had, how old is, some of the athletes coming in. I remember when Hopper was first going through the ranks, he was super young. Now Novikov is fairly young as well.
I've seen 19, 20-year-olds that are competing at the international level.
Yeah, it's so I don't.
But I think what I'm kind of looking at is more like we mentioned about the over 50 class, the guys that aren't that freakish level just yet. The guys that, I mean, Novikov actually won a version of a world junior title a few years ago. I won't say which one, but there is people doing them for people that are interested, because it's just questions that get asked, and I just wanted to clear it up with you.
Well, let me ask you this: if you were a 20-year-old that wasn't quite at the level for your weight class to be out there with the opens, or not open, but every age, I'll say the undermasters, but you didn't have a weight class, I think that would be an issue. I think an open weight, like a heavyweight juniors, may make sense. But a 90-kilo junior going against a heavyweight junior, they would rather throw their hat in with someone who's older and 90 kilo every day.
Yeah.
So I think on a heavyweight open kind of thing, there could be something there, because the barrier to entry ends up being a lot greater.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll have a look at some of the other questions that I've been, we've gone through the qualifying. People want to know if they can watch this live and how they can watch it. And obviously, I mean, I guess I'm sure there's going to be an online stream for this, but with the current situation in the world, will you be looking at having fans there live, or is that probably going to be, we'll have to decide. Yeah.
I'm the optimist out there. I mean, shoot, I was for 2020, and that ended up not working out. But up until I am fairly certain that we won't be able to, I'm going to believe that we can. The arena is incredibly large. Social distancing is very possible. I think we'll make it work. And we've got 9-10 months. I'm hoping that we'll have a better idea in the coming months.
Let's hope so. I think it's an ever-changing situation, isn't it? It's so hard for promoters right now. I really do feel for all of them. It's a very difficult situation, and no one can give anyone an answer right now, because we're all listening to various different governments, and it's the laws are changing.
That's the thing. If I thought about just how Florida, for example, was treating it, that's not the full picture. This isn't just a local show. I have to look at it from the international standpoint. And that's really what killed me for 2020 is I could have run a show, but it would not have been a world title. It would have done a disservice to
you wouldn't have been able to get athletes there. That's
yeah. But as far as watch it live in person, stay tuned. But we do have a live stream, and one of the very first things, so the first year of doing the official Strongman Games, 2017, I learned a lot. And one of those things was just the difference of, I've got another audience to think about, where before I was, pretty good at delivering a great experience for the athletes, a good experience for volunteers and spectators at the day. The live stream ended up being one of those where it was hard to follow. So I made a pretty difficult jump to have everything one division at a time, and You have to have identical equipment, you know, and instead of just head to head where, yeah, I found two identical pieces of equipment. I'm doing 4 or 5 lanes at a time, all head to head. But the benefit is you can literally watch the live stream and predict when the athlete you're interested in is going. And even better yet, we can go and splice the live stream into the individual divisions. And that's what we've done, where we can release, here is World's Strongest Woman. And you don't have to worry about watching 8 hours of footage. You can go and have the stream cut down, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours.
That's good. I mean, I think it's great. You kind of run it like a CrossFit type competition, don't you? It's cool. You've got everyone head to head, and so much equipment being used. I mean, there's not many strongman contests where you've got that many lanes. I think it's cool. I've always kind of enjoyed when at World's Strongest Man, there was maybe 5 or 10 guys head to head on a race event. Oh, yeah. It looks entertaining. But it is,
and just getting that side view of a race, I love that.
And it does change, you know, the pressure of being in a race is different to being one person at a time, just trying to go as fast as they can. When you've got someone on the side of you, I can tell you from a competitive point of view, you know, you know something's there. And whereas if it's just you on your own, you tend to just focus on going as fast as you can. But having those competitors next to you, it can either make you push that a little bit harder and do really well. And sometimes it can make you make a mistake. So it does bring a little bit more element of competition into the event.
Yeah, I'm frankly, I'm jealous of the CrossFit Games though, because they could probably get all their equipment on, you know, a pickup truck, where I've got, you know, a semi trailer delivering things. And, you know, the challenge is I could absolutely run, you know, axle overhead, axle deadlift, you know, just these most basic generic events. And it would be very efficient for me, but it would be boring and it would be an insult to strongman. So I've got the challenge of, in my mind, I'm always trying to reach the World's Strongest Man Giants Live level that I've, you know, had the pleasure of 20 years of watching, you know, that kind of thing. So when I think about events, I have to balance, how am I going to do this, you know, with the number of athletes and, you know, within a certain amount of time, and also with a little bit of spectacle. And hopefully people have seen over the years, there's always at least 1 or 2 events that they're like, oh, that was really cool.
Well, let's talk about the events. So, are you in charge of choosing the events for the contest?
Yeah, because I got to bring the stuff, you know. Yeah, so yeah, I do pick the events, and I actually really I think hard about them. I want it to be a balanced contest. You know, with local shows, it's kind of funny. I'll cherry pick my local shows to benefit me because I'm a presser, not a deadlifter. But I don't want that to be the case sure. For, you know, the official Strongman Games.
Yeah, I like the look of the events. I mean, let's go through them. So what have we got? We've got the car walk this year, which is a favorite of mine.
Yeah, so day one, we start with the log press. And we really haven't done log since 2017. And, you know, this instance, I've got 4 identical logs. Perhaps might get some cooler logs from a sponsor in the future, but at a minimum, you know, trying to get identical equipment. And I went heavy.
You've gone really heavy. I mean, that's been one of the things people have been, you watch my video and people have been commenting, saying the events are really heavy this year. Is that on purpose?
It is. So it's always a balance, right? So with having 2 years, 2020 qualifiers and 2021, there's a risk of, frankly, just too many people showing up. And that's always been a challenge with the official Strongman Games, because you look at the score sheet and there are some people that I am certain, you know, are like, oh my God, I had no idea the level of competition I was getting into. This hopefully will make it so that people know ahead of time and potentially kind of clear the field so that it really is a top 30 strongest in each division rather than 45 people that may be qualified but weren't at the right level. So, we'll see. I want everyone to be able to have a goal and aspire to hit those weights. I think they're totally reasonable. And that's what's crazy is I had the pleasure of, one, competing myself, and then meeting so many athletes that have just blown me away. So when I think of planning the weights for the log press, one, I wanted it to be a heavy overhead. So I actually had it as you only need to clean once.
Okay.
I do tell people, go ahead and clean it more than once if you want to. It's not like when you drop it, you're done. But I wanted to get the strongest pressers to really put on a show.
So the log is just one clean. They don't have to clean every single rep.
That's right.
Okay.
I've been told that's fairly unusual in the UK. And I haven't really seen it that often even here.
I've done it before, but it's not the norm. Normally for reps, you'd be cleaning each rep.
Yes, but I do think it really benefits the athlete that has some control. I always see these PR lifts that gets shown, and it's like you got to have a judge that's on the ball because that's going down.
Yeah.
This is going to be where you see someone. One of the people in my mind is like Mike Cromer. He's a masters athlete, incredible presser. He's going to be just this static machine, and I'm looking forward to it. Then you're going to have other examples where you get into the lightweight classes where you're going to see a split jerk, and then they're going to drop and drive right back into another split jerk. I'm certain technique is going to go and come into play. But it's going to be super heavy. But realistically, and you would know better than anyone, for the open men, 365 pounds, 165 kilogram, you need to be able to do that if you want to compete at a Giants Live.
Yeah, you do. It's as simple as that. I mean, I do. If I was in a competition, I wouldn't be fussed because I've competed at the heaviest competitions and I've done lighter competitions. As a strongman, you're probably, especially as a pro level open weight strongman, you're going to be looking somewhere between 140 to anything. I mean, I've seen 200 kilos for reps at the Arnold's, 205, 1 year. So anything between that region. I mean, I've seen 180 at a number of the Arnold qualifiers. I think there's a good video of Kiliashkovsky one motioning 180 kilos, which is just, and this is the thing, we can sit there and, when I was competing as an athlete, I'd always go through the events and you pick out your good events, you pick out your not so good events. And naturally you're happy to have the things that you're good at, you're happy to have heavier. The things that you're not so good at, you want a bit lighter. And we're all going to be different in that respect because we're all good at different things. But the reality is there's plenty of guys out there that can do these numbers. There's plenty of girls that can do the numbers. There's plenty of the lightweight categories that can do the numbers. And there's going to be athletes that they may be incredible deadlifters, but they're not great log lifters. They're incredible log lifters, but they're not great deadlifters. So those often you get, oh yeah, well the log's fine, but the deadlift's too heavy. And you're never going to please everyone. I've seen comments, I've seen things where, people moaned that World's Strongest Man was too light this year. Yeah. Then they were like, things need to be heavier. And then you guys come out and put these heavier events in. They're like, oh, it's too heavy. And then you get to the Arnold's, which is like ridiculously heavy. So you're never going to please everyone. But I think you're right. You do. I mean, how many athletes are you going to have in each category?
For the men, I try to aim at about 30. And you remember, so the format, it's a 3-day event. The first 2 days are really semifinals. This is 4 different events to be able to find out who the top 10 are. And then what we do is we take those 10 and we use the same 4 events, but we remove all the other athletes in the score sheet so that it was as if just those 10 were competing against each other. So that at first time we did that, had a lot of confusion because it's like, my points went down. Well, that's because we removed athletes, and this is how the scoring system works.
So you would remove the athletes in between athletes. So if an athlete came first, he gets 10 points then rather than like 40 points.
Exactly. And sometimes what ends up happening is an athlete, I see sometimes the 10th and 9th place gets swapped. And it's because of the example you gave before, someone who is exceptional in one event and maybe had a 1 or a 0 in another. That's huge when there's 30 athletes.
Yeah.
Trimmed down to 10, all of a sudden it made less of a difference. And sometimes there's a swap. But we've thought about it, and that's really about the fairest way you could do it. You guys are competing as if it was just the 10 of you. So we take it from these 30 athletes per division. Women, it ends up being about 20 to 25. And then we narrow it down to a top 10 for the finals. And that's where I try to deliver as close to that world's strongest man experience as you can. This is where you get introduced by your name, and the camera zooms in a little bit because there's just 2 of you. Whereas, yes, when it's 4 or 5 lanes at a time, you might not get as much attention. So result,
it's a lot of people to get through. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
And the result is that it's really become 2 contests. One, it's I qualified for Worlds, or I qualified for the official Strongman Games. My goal this year is to make top 10. And then it becomes, I'm ready to podium, or I'm ready to win. So getting back to the events, day 1, log press, it's going to be heavy. People who don't press well are going to complain. People who do still tell me to raise it up. The next event for that day, I'm super excited about. I'm always trying to, like I mentioned, replicate that feeling of watching World's Strongest Man, and the car walk. And I know this is a record you used to hold. So I'm hoping you can give some insight as to what the athletes are really in for. But I found an individual whose father collected old Volkswagen bugs, and he had 13 of them. And so we were able to, across all parts, make 4 identical Volkswagen bugs. He's like, as long as you don't want glass. And I was like, I was going to have it removed anyway.
Remove the glass. Nobody wants the glass.
Yeah, we're trying to get it down to 500 to 550 pounds. This is the smallest vehicle you can really find. It's the older style. It's not the Giants Live newer style bugs. And the goal is I want to be able to deliver an event that, frankly, the lightweight men and the women's classes have probably never had the opportunity to compete in their life. Yeah. It's you want that photo op.
Are the cars going to be like the old-fashioned straps, or is it going to be a bit like the Giants Live with the kind of safety bar, if you like?
My thinking is straps would be lighter, but I've actually done a car walk event that had straps, and it really benefits people who know exactly where to position themselves. I think that yoke-style crossbar, we can go heavier and people will be more comfortable. So that's what my goal is. I've yet to decide whether it's going to be a straight yoke crossbar or sort of that safety squat bar and then you're grabbing the car like they do at Giants. That's something that once we get in there, I think that would take away the worry that some people have. Some people are worried. As someone that's done all different types of car walks, yokes, I saw a question on starting Strongman the other day about how would you train for a car walk, and this type of car walk that you're doing, if anyone's got a standard yoke, they're going to be training absolutely fine. The only thing you have to be aware of with the car is, as well as sideways movement, you get a little bit of forward and backward as well. But as long as your core is strong, your brace tight, and you've practiced moving with a yoke, then it's a very, very similar event. Yeah, I think you'll love one of the solutions that I have too. So I mentioned that I competed in a car walk event. The only reason that I finished that event is they had the wheels still rolling because I didn't set in the straps correctly and the back was hitting. These wheels, to lose weight, I'm going to cut out the axles and the steering. They're going to be locked. And the welder friend that I have is gotten really clever where we're going to have casters that you can crank down so that we can reset the event on casters, and then, you know, the wheels are 100% locked. So what's nice about that though is if you think you're going to bounce and keep going, it's going to stop you. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Cool. No, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's a great event for anyone that, you know, for someone that wants to be a strongman. A few cool things to do. Obviously, you want to flip a car is an amazing thing. That's a really cool event. To carry a car is really cool. To pull an aeroplane, you do those three things, you can call yourself a real strongman.
That's awesome. So that's day one. I think that part of with the schedule, I also have day one, because it's a Friday. You know, we're not starting at 9 a.m. You know, we're starting in the afternoon, right around 1 o'clock. This is because sometimes people show up at the airport Friday morning because of their jobs. You know, they weren't able to go and take a bunch of days off. So I think it's going to be a fun day. Those are both events that I believe I'll be able to run well, 4 lanes at a time. So we're going to be able to finish in time for people to go out and have that first dinner with all their friends, you know. So that's Friday. Saturday's going to hurt. Some people have complained that the deadlift ladder is back again. I'll be honest. I was trying to, so in 2017, I did the max log. And I had 8 different platforms to be able to run a max event, and it still was slow.
Max events take forever. That's the problem. Correct. Then if you've got 8 different classes doing a max event, it's even worse.
So I was trying to figure out how, back in when I first released this event, how to do a max deadlift, but run efficiently. And the ladder ended up being the solution, where we've got 4 progressively heavier conventional deadlift bars and 3 athletes at a time. The weights, I really review the score sheets every single year, and sometimes I raise it up, sometimes I lower it. It is wonderful to watch, because you get people like, you know, obviously Rhiannon Lovelace is going to just scream through the event. I loved last 2019, Terry Hollins, Mark Felix. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, they don't even need straps. You can tell the event switches from, can I pull it, to, am I going to hook grip, or how am I going to do this? It becomes really raw at the top level athletes, and it's a lot of fun. It also has the benefit of, in general, everyone gets to lift some weights. You know, the complaint on the max log is getting a 0 sucks. But I'm actually, as a promoter, not that worried about zeros. That tells me I'm kind of on the right track, because, you know, there's going to be a good portion that rep it out, and zeros happen. But the deadlift ladder is a good mix, where generally you're going to get the first, second bar. Third starts to get serious, and so people who know they can't do the fourth start playing a game about time.
What's the weight on the deadlift for, let's say, the heavyweight women and the heavyweight men? I apologize to everyone else, but it's going to be difficult to go for every single class.
Agreed. Heavyweight men go up to 370 kilograms, so about 815 pounds. And I've been told that, you know, on the 4th lift, that can be a little bit of a challenge. And the heavyweight women, 247 kilograms, 545 pounds. You'll notice that I also, because I'm running an efficient event, I'm working with 45s and 25s. I'm not going to throw on something with 2.5s on there. That's just, you know, not going to work for me. But it's interesting. Yes, you could do 815 for a single, but can you do it, you know, as your 4th lift, you know, and just mad rush with the pressure on? So it's going to be heavy. But it remains to be one of my favorite events, and I've done.
It gets interesting when, you know, whether guys decide they're going to go for it without straps or need the straps, and then I'm sure that there'll be plenty that'll blast through the first few lifts without straps, but then it's deciding whether you keep going or you go to straps, and where you waste time. It puts a little bit of kind of, you know, skill and thought process into it rather than just being the greatest deadlifter.
Absolutely. It's kind of nice because you see people going for their 1 rep max, and they've got this process that they go and set up their deadlift. Maybe they do some false ups and downs and all that. You
don't have time for that.
They're just ripping it off the ground. And I think that's what everyone wants to see. And usually when that 4th lift comes up, there's a reaction from the crowd as well as the athlete. So it's a lot of fun to watch.
Next event.
The next event, this is the one that hurt a lot of people's feelings in 2019. It was the carry and drag medley. It's been nicknamed the death medley, but I've made it slightly less deadly this year.
Okay.
So what we had in 2019 was there were 3 implements that they needed to carry 50 feet. The first one was a sandbag. And to give an idea, heavyweight men, it was like 300-pound sandbag. And then you had a keg that was loaded to about 300, 325, and then a Husafell stone. And those last 2 implements went into a sled, and you had to drag that sled back the 50 feet. And oh my gosh, I've never seen that many just bodies on the ground. I was told by athletes that they'd come out of the warm-up area and there's the big curtain and they're all pumped, and they would just open up and see bodies. And it was like giving them nerves before the event. So I kind of, you know, have that evil genius laugh when I hear it. And there are some people that were like, oh, I loved it. And, you know, I couldn't believe Terry Holland's fitness. You know, he's just walking around afterwards. Meanwhile, other people in the class are lying down, just breathing heavy, needing on. So what we've done is we've removed one of the items. So the keg is not going to be involved. So they're only going to have to do the 2 implements, a sandbag and a Husafell. Still going to be heavy, still going into the sled. And, you know, that 50 feet was that 15.25 meters running down and back. It's still going to cause a lot of people some stress, but hopefully it'll make my staff a little less worried about needing oxygen for athletes.
You don't want to kill everyone.
I'll be honest, though. It was hilarious to hear the athletes talk about it afterwards. I'm certain many stories were told that evening, you know, at restaurants and whatnot. So felt pretty good.
I love the evil smile on your face. Just talking about it there. Because I also, you know, train and compete, I'm fully aware of what I'm doing. And I wouldn't subject any of the athletes to something I wouldn't at least attempt myself. So, you know, that's one thing at least I've got going for me is I'm well aware of what I'm doing. So from those 4 events, I think it's a pretty balanced 4 events to be able to choose the top 10. Yep. You know, we've got the typical overhead, deadlift, and moving, and a strong cardio conditioning medley to be able to find out, you know, who's the top 10. I've got 2 events, and we're doing head-to-head. So, you know, I mentioned that I listened to feedback. So in 2018, I did a sandbag toss event, but I did 5 lanes at a time. And the number 1 feedback that I received was, love the event, really hard to follow because there's just action going everywhere. Yeah.
I think this will be a good solution to that because it's going to be just head to head. And what I've done is gone from 4 sandbags to 6. So that allows it to be heavier. And I'm not expecting everyone to be able to finish all 6. I want when someone does send the 6th one over, it to be a moment of celebration, not a what time did I get, you know, kind of situation.
Yeah.
So, you know, listening to feedback, I think that's going to be an exciting event. I've always loved the keg toss. obviously with logistics of an indoor event, the sandbag toss is a really good equivalent for that.
It's a great event. It really is. It looks visually impressive to people watching. It's a fun, dynamic movement for the athletes to do. And it's, again, one of those movements that you can be great at, but you can still mess it up. So it's it causes that, you know, it makes the competition that little bit closer sometimes.
Yes. And then for the final event, we're bringing back the Atlas Stone Series. You know, I do a 6 stone series. A few years back, I had these custom platforms made for me that are height adjustable. You know, the 80 kilogram athletes hate it because I always put their first one at 60 inches. So 5 foot mark. I don't know what that is in centimeters. So I think I can figure that out. They're about 152 centimeters.
I'd need to check. It's something like, well, I'm 6'2", 188 centimeters. So yeah, you're kind of in the right ballpark.
I'm getting better at it. You know, metric's hard for America.
That's the problem when you got the Europe and the American. I get it all the time. If I say kilograms, I get told they want to know the pounds. Say the pounds, they want to know the kilos.
Exactly. So, you know, we have the advantage of my platforms. I can have at one height for women and then another height for men.
That's cool.
Which I think is really good. The stones themselves, I'm actually having the Atlas stones from 2018 resurfaced so that tacky holds a little bit better. And they go up to 425 pounds. So what is that, like 190 kilogram area? Yeah. So pretty heavy stones as far as a 6 stone series goes. And I'm debating on whether I'm going to have them do the progressive carry, where the first ones you've got to carry a bit.
That makes it a lot harder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't mind going a little harder.
No,
I think it's more visually stimulating.
I think deciding a world champion, it's got to be tough. I think, no, it's yeah, it sounds like a great contest. It really does. I think a lot of people are excited about it. I know there's loads of talk on the internet about it. The one last thing I'll ask while you're on here, and I mean, if people have questions, please feel free to comment below. Make sure you go over to Official Strongman and kind of register on there. For athletes wanting to compete in this show, what are the events they need to do? How do they qualify?
So there is an additional online qualifier that's going to be taking place in July. It's going to be more competitive than past years because we have a lot of athletes that qualified for 20.
I guess that's the thing. People that have qualified for last year, their positions are still secure for this year?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Yep.
So that means that you know, last year we had the pound for pound strongest. And so by pairing those together, that meant that you really had the online qualifier based on only 2 events, you know, a max overhead and a max deadlift. This year's qualifier in July, you know, I'm going to be working with the guys at Official Strongman on the website to go and set it up. We're going back to 3 events, and I've not yet decided what they are, but, you know, rest assured, it's not going to be, you know, how good of a power lifter are you? You know, we're going to go and have some strongman specific stuff in there, possibly some reps involved and things like that. So events are going to be announced soon. I get a lot of questions about it, so we need to get moving on that. There are a couple of regional contests out there that still are running and do offer invites.
Can I ask which one will be?
Well, that's the thing. I'm actually going to be trying to catalog all the ones that are still planning on happening with, you know, the pandemic in the world. It's really hard to know. And update the website so that people know. I believe there's still an opportunity that's going to be happening in Australia, opportunity in Canada, and I believe Official Strongman is going to be running Europe's Strongest Man, and that also qualifies. So there will be some contests, but the best way and the most secure way for people, just plan on July, you know, doing the online qualifier. Just get a friend to watch you do the events in the gym. Follow the instructions.
That's a big thing, isn't it?
My life easier, my goodness. Please follow the instructions. You know, it breaks my heart when I see an amazing lifter and then they don't weigh the equipment, for example, or something. And and I can't give them an invite, even though I would love to. So that's really going to be the best way. And then we will start actually sending out, confirmation with the different athletes and start to get an idea of who's going to be showing up. Because right now, anyone can raise their hand and say, yeah, I hope to. I hope travel opens up. But really what I want to do is be able to start to publicize the athletes that are able to make it, because I know that matters a lot to the fans. And I probably won't know that till around that July.
Well, that's nothing that we have control over at the moment. But if you're an athlete out there and you're looking to compete in this, train as if you're going. That's all I can say. Make sure you're ready for the opportunity. If, you guys are planning as if it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. As long as everything's okay, you do everything that you can to make it happen. This is an opportunity for anyone in the world. The amount of people that message me, and I'm nothing to do with Official Strongman, but the people message me and they're like, how do I qualify? How do I get to World's Strongest Man? How do I get to a Giants live show? This is the opportunity for absolutely anyone on the planet. You just need to go online, register on Official Strongman. We'll put a link down below. Make sure you follow the rules when Lynn announces them, so that you don't do anything wrong. And if you're strong enough, you get the opportunity to compete. And if you go and win that, you could be going to a Giants Live or World's Strongest Man. Lynn, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. It's been great to kind of clarify a few things. Like I said to everyone, if they've got other questions and they comment below, are you happy to have a look later down the road and maybe reply to a few people?
It's a blessing and a curse. I'm looking forward to the comments and I'm dreading them because it's YouTube. But I will absolutely go and answer any questions. For the people that have already contacted me, they know for the most part, I'm pretty responsive.
Cool. If it's things that I know the answer to, I might respond. But if it's not, you'll get tagged. Okay.
Okay. Terrific.
Lynn, thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video with Lynn. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with more strength action soon. Take it easy. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.